usually, I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before, so.
And we're live. Sorry about that. We had technical difficulties. If we lose you again, just whatever you got to do to get us back on. But we'll be up and going again. So anyway, thanks for joining us the second time today. And you were explaining something.
Well, you were telling me we're going to do a pack mount today. And we talked about some previous ones. You had mentioned a deer head should be a deer head on the wall, a nice semi-sneak, full sneak, shoulder.
But you've done this before.
Upright. But we've done that, and we used, in a past life, we used some old capes that we weren't able to use otherwise. Capes that had been tanned, they came back from a tannery, they had big slip spots or bloody spots. I know we did a few doll sheep that were super bloody back on the shoulder that wouldn't make a decent shoulder mount. But shame to waste the cape, we put them on memorabilia boards in backpacks, did mounts just like this with just the head, and it seemed to work out pretty good. So you don't necessarily have to use it on every deer, but you could definitely use it on a deer that might not otherwise be usable. If you've got this much good deer, you can make something out of it. So that's what we have done before.
And a lot of people have old forms at home that they never
absolutely
have no use for. Maybe it didn't fit, and maybe it's laid around collecting dust for a long time. Or you can change out heads for not very many dollars.
Yep.
And do them with those.
Less expensive version, another option for your customer, just a little bit of something different to do. So.
And typically, what we see a lot of, we have the deer head hanging straight down, everything's symmetrical.
Yeah.
We had a different idea, didn't we?
Yeah.
Why don't you explain that to the people? I think this might look nice.
Well, we thought this would give it just a little bit more attitude, give it a little bit of a customized look. And we took the back of the deer. We just used a change-out head, and that's what I think I'd use. I think this worked out pretty well for us. Like Tom said, you could use one that you had laying around if it had a little turn to it, left or right, wouldn't matter. But we chose to cut the back. So we cut this piece off so that rather than it being straight on like this, we're going to attach it on a little bit of an angle like that, give you a little bit more of a, I know, maybe like this, maybe like this. But I know I've had a few deer on my back, and they never hang straight, and they never hang right in the middle. They always end up flopping over and falling off the pack. And so, yeah, that's what we did. We extended that. Now, we have a little bit of flat spot here that we can add some length to. So how would you go about doing that?
Well, I guess to do that. My thinking is I would dam this up with something. We're going to add to this portion right here, correct? Yep. Maybe rough this up with something. Dam this up. We use a lot of printer's tin, or we like to use also that, we call it fin carding. It's that vinyl stuff works really good. I got some tin for this, and we'll just take some T-pins and poke it through the tin around there, rough it up, and pour some foam in there.
Yep, just to continue this so that it meets on a flat
And then
spot.
we can sculpt it into anything we want.
Yep.
If you would do that, I will get I'll get the tin ready, and I'll get the foam. I've got T-pins.
Should I rough this up?
Sure.
Okay. I think I've got a rougher over here. I've got some T-pins there on the table, I think, for you.
This is a printer's tin, and if you don't have it in your shop, you can get it from any newspaper, I think, has it, and it's very handy stuff for damming things up.
We use it, we use a lot for dams. This is just a form rougher, and I'm just going to take that across the back, a swipe or two. That's probably not the most pleasant sound for them. I won't continue. But just rough it up a little bit so the foam has something to stick to.
And that tin is so thin and so soft that it's real easy to poke the pin right through. And you can use tape. Duct tape's another great thing. That'd be just
sure.
fine.
For a short dam, yeah, duct tape would work great. Anything that you can pour against that has a little bit of rigidity to hold that tight. Does it look like our signal came back, Kate?
Yes.
Great.
Good to go now.
Good.
I wonder why that happens.
I
It's
don't
been
know.
better and better, though.
And then these things that'll go so perfectly. It's really work. Oh my gosh.
We won't know what to do.
That's right.
Good enough?
Yeah. Do you want any release?
Yeah.
No?
What could go wrong?
Jesse Wells is wondering why
Jesse
you
Wells.
are
Hi,
adding
Jesse.
foam.
We're going to add foam to the side of it just because we cut the angle, and that's going to add a little bit more neck on one side. It's just a little customization. You don't have to do that at all. We just thought we'd add a little bit there just to get it to hang on a nice angle.
So it'll hang crooked for us.
Yes, perfectly crooked. And we have, that's the other nice thing, is we have lots of cape here. We just took this is actually a pretty good cape. So we've got plenty of length here that we'll use. We've actually done some too in the past where the only had the head, and then we just took another piece of back half of skin and rolled that up and tucked it up over, and you can't tell. So if you have a short neck deer that you want to do that with, that works as well. Ooh, we're going to make a big neck.
You started saying that, and then I added a little bit more. Can never have too much foam.
That's right.
Okay, those of you who have never used this before, it's just 2-part polyurethane foam. Ours is a 3-pound density that we would make our deer mannequins. Same thing that this is made out of. Now, just because it's not under pressure, it's not capped like our deer molds, it's going to be a little bit softer, but it should be just fine for a pack mount. And I've got A and B equal amounts. I'm going to pour it into a separate mixing cup. And with our foam, you've got 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah. I think Kate's going to get a good close-up of you here on mixing your foam.
And once it turns to that butterscotch color, that's good, as long as there's no streaks in it anymore. And I think we're going to let it start to rise just a little bit before I pour it. If you have any little small gaps or anything and you pour it too soon, it's going to start running all over the place. But if I let it start to foam and it starts to rise, it will kind of hold its shape a little bit better, not run all over the place. And we use foam for everything in the shop.
Everything.
We use it for habitats. We use it for poured a bird body out of it the other day to carve.
Yep, all of our alterations to our mannequins, like this.
Tell me where you want it compared to where I got it.
I think you're pretty good. You might turn your front to show Kate just a little bit more over there. There you go.
Now this is going to be way, way more than we need. Now that's gonna just just start foaming up,
There you go.
jiggling and squiggling. And because this mold was wax, came out of a mold, out of a change-out head mold, it probably won't stick to this. And it'll take, there's a gel time and a set time. I think you're
Yeah.
probably looking at, oh, it'll take 5 minutes before it
Yeah.
quits doing this. And
Yeah. So while that sets up, we also have a board cut that we were planning to put in the back of that. We'll put that board in there, and that way we've got a nice, safe, secure attachment that we'll screw it back onto the pack for. We're going to do all the alterations first with this.
if you would hold that for one
Yeah.
second, I'll go get a pliers to pull out my pins.
Yep. And like anything, we're going to kind of approach this with just the idea of we're doing a deer shoulder mount or a traditional mount, but it's just going to be a little bit shorter. We're still going to use, we're going to set the eyes. We're still going to sculpt the ear butts. We're going to use an artificial nose on this mannequin. It's basically going to just be a little bit of an abbreviated, a regular mount, I guess we'd call it, a traditional mount, and we'll call this one a non-traditional.
So this puts you on the spot. Customer comes in and he says, I want a pack mount. What's it going to cost me?
Every bit as much as. No, that's a really valid question, because you think about this pack mount and you think, oh gosh, that's
Easy.
half the deer, but it's still all of the work. We still have to tuck the lips, we still have to tan the cape, we have to have ear liners, we have to have eyes. We're adding a pack. We have all kinds of accessories that you can add to this. You can add some decorative rope. You can add a canteen. You can add memorabilia pieces.
Axes?
In my opinion, yeah, an
Saws?
axe, anything that
Bucksaw?
you'd have in the field. In my opinion, this mount is not a cheaper mount. It's just a different way to display a trophy. I think you're going to have every bit as much work in this as you're going to have in a traditional shoulder mount. Now, some people might disagree with that, but I think if you put the dollars to it, you're not going to save a whole bunch in time.
We have Tim Rowland, who is wondering if you are using a dry tan or wet tan cape.
We have a cape that we tanned. So this it's a rehydrated cape, and we've got the whole thing rehydrated here. We're going to put on a tanning oil on the back portion of the hide once we get it mounted. But
That's a good question,
It
because
is.
I think if I did a lot of pack mounts, I would treat them just like a bear rug.
Bear rug.
When we have a dry tanned bear from the tannery, to start with, we soak up the head only, mount the head only, do all the finish work on it, and then when it's time to do the rest of the, for instance, bear rugging, that's when we soak just the leather up, stretch it, and I think I would approach a pack mount the same way.
yeah, and then you would probably never even have to rehydrate the back half. Now that's not what we have here, but probably if you're starting from that point, I bet that would be a good starting point.
And Blake Gonering is wondering, how long does it take to set?
Well, Blake, this is like a bun in the oven, and it is warm and it's gushy, and it's kind of set, but it's really gonna take probably 10 more minutes. But we're gonna rush the process, right?
One more question from Vivian Aldrich, and she is wondering, would this foam mix be the one we use to make a casting for like a raccoon form or rabbit, or a different kind?
Oh, I think I would.
For a mannequin form,
To make
sure,
a-
yeah.
Carcass cast,
I
is that
would
what we're thinking?
Sounds like that sounds like what she's doing, making a mannequin of some kind of casting.
You should have put mold in these things.
Look at that, comes right off. Ish.
Okay, there is
you
your
go.
deer neck.
There you go.
Do you want to carve that a little for me? And I will.
Sure.
I will put you in a backboard.
That would be perfect. I'm just going to cut a little bit off of this. I don't know how much we need. We might take a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of a saw here. This foam's nice and warm.
That's a new product too. Tell them about that saw, because you like it.
I like this saw. This is a saw that I've had for a long, long time. I think it was recommended from one of our viewers that we carry it. And it's just a little finish saw. I've actually heard, I don't know if it's, can I say? I think it's actually called a Japanese cutoff saw or a flush cut saw.
I don't know if you can say Japanese.
I don't know if I can say that or not, but I did anyways, and that's what we've used. But it's just a little flush cut saw, very thin blade. It's flexible, fine toothed, and so it cuts really nice. I like it. It almost works like a knife with a little bit of slicing motion. We'll use this to cut. One of the nice things is it's a great tool to cut noses off of mannequins because it's a really thin kerf, a thin blade. So works really good.
And then Vivian is wondering, do you not have to put the tan on a hide of your mounting it or making a rug?
We would. If we tan it ourselves, we would take it through the pickle process, neutralize it, rinse it, neutralize it, rinse it, and then we would spin it out. We like to take all of ours through the drying process, and then once it's through the drying process, or we put the oil on and then dry it, the tanning oil. And we use True Bond 1000, works exceptionally well. Otherwise, for the back half of this one, we're going to do the 1000B, and 1000B has given us, we've had great soft hides with 1000B.
Do you want to hold that up for me on an angle? I'll make a little mark and I'll cut it off flush for you. Want to hold it up here and show me what you're thinking?
Well, that's a dead deer if I ever saw it.
I think we'll have, there we go. Get enough room for an ear.
Got it. Nose in.
Nose in, antlers out, right? Something like that.
Hold it while you got it. Good?
Yeah. See what we got there? Perfect. Make a quick cut. Ooh, this is warm foam.
It is warm.
How's that? Something like that.
Here, hold it.
Put the antlers on.
Let's just, let me hold them up and see what they're gonna do. Yeah?
Is that going to clear the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Good.
good. Yeah. All right. And you want to make a little spot for our
Hand me the board.
board?
Like such.
Yeah.
Use this one.
Now you could go directly into the back of a traditional change-out head too, couldn't you? If they wanted it to be square and straight. They wouldn't have to add the extended side.
Add this?
Yeah.
Or no, you mean they wouldn't have to add this?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just, you had pre-cut this board for us. We want something, it'd be nicest to have something nice and sturdy. You wouldn't need to. You could pin this to the back of that. You could run a screw through that fabric. You could do all kinds of different things. I guess I would like to have, there's a cross member going across that pack, and I would just as soon have this screwed on nice and sturdy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put a board in there, and you had the board, so we just traced around it. Now, I need to make a step down that deep that this will fit down in there. So what I've done in the past is take my knee vise here and
Where do you get one of them? Or everybody has
tighten
one,
it up.
don't they?
And I'm just going to take a Dremel and with one of these little drum sander bits, and I'm just going to get under the surface, and it'll take me just a little bit, but I should be able to get down to accept that board. You'll have to talk real loud. At least we're not doing the back of a buffalo.
This is not a buffalo pack mount. That's a good thing.
But we're going to have them, right? The buffalo and moose pack mounts are coming.
I don't know if I could put a buffalo on my back. That wouldn't be a... I think I'd rather have a four-wheeler mount. Can we do the front end of a four-wheeler on the wall?
Believe it or not, I'm almost done.
There you go.
Sorry about that, everybody. Now, these are never deep enough.
Oh, that's a handy trick. And that's just our Sureform wrap?
Sureform wraps. Everybody, all of you have one of these, I'm sure, but if you don't, you gotta have one because it's kind of we couldn't run our shop without these things.
No. Necessary tools.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
Gonna fit pretty good, not quite, almost. Pardon me, one more little second. Good, do you think?
Yeah. I would bet that that's going to work. Look at that. Nice and
Okay.
flush.
If you will hold that, now we got to put this in here somehow. You could foam it. You could put more foam. That would work. You could put hot glue. That would work. We're going to mix up auto body putty and just put a gob of auto body putty. And to do that, let's make some little gouges in here to auto body putty to grip to.
Yeah. I will hold that for you.
Yes, Kate?
Just like that. Kate's going to get a good close-up for us of putting this in.
Oh.
So we better do it right.
I thought we had a question.
And I think that actually was a question that just came through was how do you attach the board to the mannequin?
Ooh, we're on it.
Now, any of you use auto body putty? This is Bondo brand, Auto Body Putty. Recommended 1 linear inch per golf ball size. I have 2.5 golf balls, but we only have an hour to do this. So we're going to put 16 inches in there.
This will be warm.
Mix it up so there are no swirls, marbling.
Bondo or Auto Body Putty is another thing. We mentioned the rasp. Bondo is another thing we use every day in the shop. Just a good all-purpose filler and I don't know, adhesive, I guess. It's not a great adhesive, but will hold things in place and take up spaces without expansion.
A lot of people use Auto Body Putty to put their mannequins together, alterations. And I tend to like to use foam better.
Yeah. We use a lot of foam, lots and lots of foam.
Ready?
Yep.
Vivian is wondering if the putty is naturally that color or if you mixed it.
I mixed it with the hardener, with the cream hardener that it comes with. Good enough?
Yep. And this particular company sends a red hardener with theirs.
That's
but
what comes with it when you get it.
We've had blue in the past.
And we like white because we do a lot of rock work. And the white with the gray Auto Body Putty makes a nice rock color.
It certainly does. It's nice for making fish heads.
Yeah.
Any castings you're going to do that way that you might paint. Sometimes it's easier to go with a white neutral base than a red. Can I put it in?
Sure, oh, you bet. Oop, it's hard.
I know I was going to say I better. I hope we don't have to make many changes. We're just going to push that.
This
right
is
in
red. If, like you said, blue. I've seen green. We've never had green. White. So we've got white, blue, and red.
Yeah.
And it depends on what brand and what company you get it from.
The only trick to the white is that it's very similar in color to the gray.
Make sure
and it
you're
doesn't,
mixed.
Yeah, it doesn't change your putty color. The nice thing about the red or the blue or the green, any of the colors, you can see streaks and parts that may or may not get mixed. So I'm just going to hold this for a minute while it sets up, and then what do you think? Should we put a nose on this?
Oh yeah, there you go.
This happens to be a 7.5-inch XP change-out head, XP CO40, and we have a nose that fits on this one, medium whitetail nose. So we'll just for ease of use, we'll put that on. You wouldn't necessarily have to. You could use it. You can use a traditional nose as you would any other.
How nice you want your dead deer to look?
We want the nicest dead deer because it's going to cost them as much as it's going to cost for us.
Live deer.
For a live deer. I think we're set up. And you can see with this is the, I think CO40N, the N designation in the catalog. It will come with this section cut out specifically for a nose. And if we set that on there, it goes just like that. Fits on there pretty nice.
And what's the advantage of a nose? Why would I even want one? That's, you know how much those things are? They're like $16.
And I would challenge $16. Once our minimum wage goes up, we're going to be at $15 for your shop guy to come in and Dremel out that nose. If you're going to drop in a septum, some people do, some people don't, but we like to. Septum's going to be $3.
I did it for the students today. It took me all afternoon.
It does. So when you're doing the calculations on, yeah, that's a $16 nose, but it's also going to save you 30
hours,
30 minutes, 40 minutes, hours.
And they're so symmetrically accurate, and they look good.
Yeah, it's a nice finished product. It's not a wide open nose. It's not It's not terribly closed down. It's a pretty nice little attitude. So
And we have great
like 'em.
mule deer noses from Brian
Yep.
Olson in two
Yep.
sizes for
We do.
the Sagebrush Series mule deer.
We sure do. We're going to treat this just like we would anything else. I'm going to rough it up just a little bit on the back side for adhesion. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. That nice little logo. We're going to rough that up. This material, the nice thing about the material of the change out noses is that it's translucent. It's not totally transparent, so you can't completely see through it, but it's nice and light, gives a nice flesh color. You can, very, very little, if any, finish work. You do a good job fleshing and thinning. Biggest, I think, one thing we will say is the biggest help to using an artificial nose is thin, thin, thin skin. Just as you would with your mannequin, but very important. That way your transition lays in there nice and even. It's less likely to pull away. Works pretty nice.
And too thick a skin is going to just close that nose right down.
It is, and it's going to do the same thing with your carved nostril as well. So it's not as if you don't have to thin your skin with a foam nostril. You still do, but that's an advantage. So I'm just going to rough this up just as we would the back side of that, and then we're just going to use some extra strength hot glue. And put a dab on there.
I'm going to let you do your own dab. Here, I'm
We'll
going to
put
hold
a little
this.
on the bottom.
This has got to be like pit crew. You got it? You got it?
Yeah, perfect. We're going to set that on there. I'm going to let you tell me. I think that meant
Turn
steel.
it that way. Good. Turning that way. Good. Oh, stop. Now tip the whole nose up. Right there. I think that'll be just fine.
Be good?
Good. Great.
Okay. And we'll let that hot glue set. If there's any transition around the perimeter, we'll take care of that in just a few minutes. We'll use a little bit of clay. We may use an epoxy material to blend those gaps.
And that hot glue will hold that on there
Oh gosh,
forever.
it
You
will.
put a tan hide over there, dried down a little Pro One hide paste, and you're set.
It's not going anywhere. So we'll use that. We'll set that up in that manner. That hot glue's pretty well cooled. You want to show them how to put the antlers on it quick?
Sure. I might need it.
Ooh, question.
We have a question from Vivian, and she's wondering, what do you do if your ear liners are too big for your cape? Do you cut a deeper hole into the head or trim the liner?
That's a good question, and we would trim the liner. We're using a 200-500 injection molded ear liner. Another great ear liner is our 200 WT ear liner, and that one trims very, very nicely. The 200 WT is a fabric form ear, and those trim really good. So I would trim my first choice is to trim the bottom lobe. You may be able to trim a little out of the length. I don't like to trim very much out of the top of it, but another good thing is they come in several different sizes. And with ear liners, with eyes, oh man, it doesn't hurt to have one or two extras on hand of different sizes just in case. We always, of course, with the supply company, we always have a few extras in case you run into that at a critical point in a project. Rather than have to trim a large into a small, you can grab a small set and have that to go.
And she's also wondering what you mean by Dremel out the nose.
If we were to take a traditional mannequin, mannequins are made out of a 3, possibly a 4-piece mold, and they pick up tremendous detail. But to get the detail of the inner nostril, we couldn't get that out of a rigid mold. And so production mannequins are not made with any nostril depth. There's a little bit of depth, but very little. So what we choose to do if we don't use a reproduction nose is to go in with very small tools and a Dremel tool, some very fine sculpting tools, and we'll go in and recreate the inner nose detail with a Dremel tool. And then we epoxy it and recreate it so that it basically looks like an artificial nose.
Some shorter screws. Where'd they go?
I got a little guy.
I see. There we go.
I thought we had some. I thought you got some.
Kate took them.
Yeah.
Okay, now just to speed this up, we drilled some holes, pre-drilled some holes in the skull plate. I've got 3 holes in here. I also trimmed it ahead of time. And I'm just going to take we use a lot of torque head screws here. And because I pre-trimmed it, I kind of have an idea that it does fit. So how do those look to you?
I think they look good. I think they look real good.
You weren't going to say anything else on the air. I knew it.
When mounting with the artificial nose, do you still use a small layer of clay on the nose pad tray?
If you do, I would recommend a very small amount. That's a good question, and that can determine your fit. Too much clay, I would say no more than the thickness of a dime, and we use that on the mannequin as well. The detail of the nose has been taken off. It was made from a traditional, or from a cast of a nose, and we've sanded that down to accommodate a thin layer of skin, but not very much.
I think it's going to work.
You think?
Hand me your little rasp once. Oh, here it is. I got it.
Now, you've got the antlers screwed on. What would you use to set your antlers?
Typically, we would put mache on there and put our antlers right down into the mache.
Yep.
Let the mache set up, and then screw it in tight.
Sure.
But these fit and were trimmed, and they didn't need the mache under them, so now we'll just fill this in with mache, do you think?
Sure. I think so.
Should I mix them up and we'll do that?
Yeah, we can show them how to do that. We use, that's just the premium mache.
Premium mache, yes.
And it's a plaster-based material that's going to set up with water. So you'll add.
I have always, for years and years, done antler setting different than anybody else. And I think I started out like everybody. You trim it on the saw the best you can, get them to fit, which never fit. So they're always off a little bit, you know. So 1 popsicle stick does it. Oh, 2 popsicle sticks. Oh, 2 is too thick. Now let's shim 1 down.
Right.
And pretty soon you have the antlers where you want them, and then you screw them in. Now what? Now somehow you got to fasten this all together, and so you would mache it or auto body putty it. From there, we started mixing firm mache, and that firm mache we would put on top of that. We did it today for students, on top of that skull cap.
Yep.
Take the antlers, rock them down, even though they may not fit perfect, rock them down to where we want them, stand back, get them perfectly lined up. The mache is strong enough to hold them, and it doesn't work with all animals, but it does work with whitetail. Let that mache, you're going to smooth it out real good, rebuilding the meat, and then you will let that mache set, and that's your shim. Then you put the screws in, and it's all done.
So it becomes your shim. It's all there, holds them in place, and fills the gap nicely.
Warm water?
Sure, we're going for it. Warm water and salt. Warm water, that's funny, warm water will set this up faster. Mache sets up, can be catalyzed with both salt and warm water. You can slow it down if you want to set, say you're setting several sets of antlers and you need half an hour for it to set, you can use cold water, and if you really want to slow it down, you can use a pinch of borax. when you're using additives, don't use very much, but those will change the setup times for you. And you like your mache pretty thick.
Well,
And so a good tip is never mix all of your mache. Never add water to all of your mache, because invariably it'll be thinner than you want, and you're going to want to go back to the box and add just a little bit of powder to thicken it up. And if you mixed it all up in the first go, you're going to be wishing you had some more.
I've done it.
What would you say the consistency that you're looking for is?
Bread dough. Bread dough that doesn't sag when you quit
Yeah.
stirring. You know how bread dough kind of settles down and flattens out?
Yeah.
I don't want it to do that. I want it to keep its shape. Enough to hold your stick in there nice and stiff.
And it can hold it straight up and down?
And whenever you're doing any kind of mache for support or rocks or any of that, don't have any dry spots in it. Good?
I think so.
Okay?
When using,
Do it.
When using mache as the Antler Shims, you need to pre-drill holes in the mache before you screw the antlers on.
Pre-drill holes in the...
We pre-drill the skull. We wouldn't necessarily pre-drill the mache. We set the screws down, and they hold it down pretty nice.
Does it help to add paper pulp to the mache like cellulose insulation?
Ours has paper pulp in it, and we think just the right amount. So
Yeah,
we do not, but you
Should
could.
not need it, but you could.
And paper pulp will weaken it too. And anytime you're macheing antlers, don't grab, around the rough portion of the main beam with hands full of mache, because that mache does not come out of that rough texture very well.
And we would just go about macheing, rebuilding that muscle over the top of the skull, just the same way as we would a shoulder mount.
What screw works best to mount on the skull plate?
We like torque heads a lot, and they're expensive. But, there were days when I would not bend over to pick up a screw off the ground, but a torque head you tend to, because they're like a dime a piece. But that's, once upon a time, we had all Phillips screws in the shop. Then we went to square heads. Remember that? Went to square heads, and you can't have both in your shop. You have to have only one kind, because you will grab a screw and you won't have the right bit, and it's very, very, very frustrating. So we got rid of every Phillips in the entire shop, and then we went to square bits, and then from square bits, we went to torque heads. And the good thing about torque heads is they're golden colored, so you don't get them mixed up with the
with the
black
black
ones. You thought it was just so we could charge more.
Well, that's why we charge what we do for these.
But we like the torque heads. If you've never used them, they're nice. We've got just two different bit sizes, and they're nice to have in the shop. And then for form alterations, we use a lot of those big landscape screws that have the hex head on them. We like those. Now, there was not a lot of muscle or anything on top of the head, so we don't want to put much for a buildup, but I am going to blend this to the form. And now, as that mache sets up, I just dip my mixing stick in water and smooth it out. I like to use my gloved hand for that purpose also.
Are you guys going to be coming out with more sizes in the semi-up XP Whitetail series?
Oh, are we ever?
Where's Blake Gonering?
I know, is that Blake?
Yeah, I think, what would you say, Tom? We've got a few coming?
We have 2 big sneaks. How's that? We have 2 big sneaks coming that are in the catalog. Unfortunately, we didn't proofread very good and they got away from us. And then the popular relaxed upright, that's coming.
I think that's what they're after.
And basically, they're planning on having the full line.
Oh,
of
sure.
All of them
Yeah.
in those poses.
The mannequin business is not instant, it's slow. You have to have, first of all, very talented people sculpting these.
We should get some of those.
I know. And then we have, finding time to do them. And then once we get them, we dam them. And first we fix all the blems and we prime them and make them cosmetically pretty, because it's like pretty fishing lures. They sell better. And then we dam them and we mold them. And because any of you that have favorite mannequins, go ahead and look at how many parting lines they have.
Oh, yeah.
A 3-piece or a 4-piece mold is a much typically better product or more detail than a 2-piece mold. And that takes a lot of time to mold those more intricate molds.
It does. And we do have some of the most talented sculptors in the business. I think our whitetail line we would put against anybody's. It's a very, very, very attractive line, super accurate, easy to mount, and it takes time. It takes time for those guys to put these deer together as accurately as they do. They go over them with a fine-tooth comb. They're test fit many, many times. They're actually mounted on many times before we ever hit production.
And we probably should mention Brian Olson, Pat Wagner, Mark Gonering, these guys get together and you have 3 sets of eyes looking at every aspect of these deer. And if one doesn't catch something, the other 2 will. If the other 2 don't catch something, one will. And I think that's one of the big benefits of our sculptors, because you have so many eyes and so many critical eyes on all this stuff that things tend to get done right.
If we added up all the years of experience, it would make them sound very old. So we won't do that on camera, but a lot of years, a lot of whitetail years, a lot of terrific years in both the competition arena and their commercial business.
Sure.
They know how to make a whitetail fit and make it look like a deer, and it's they're as
That's
good as
going to
they
look
get.
pretty good. Now, the next thing we're going to probably do is blend all that area of the new foam onto the mannequin. Next week we will, I think, set eyes, ears?
I think so. We'll put some ears on it, get our ear butts up. I think we approach it just like we would a shoulder
Full
mount.
shoulder mount.
We'll put our ears on in the pose that we want. That's going to be a little bit of a trick to figure out what dead ears look like. So
I've been waiting to see what you're going to do there.
And I think we'll even put real eyes in it, huh? Not dead eyes, not closed eyes.
Not blind eyes.
You have someone asking if we sell the packs for the pack mounts.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Of course we do.
let's show them that.
I can hold.
This is the original. That's the original series. This is the original with canvas. And then back behind them is the new one that's just out today, and that is our leather pack mount. And then this is just a special random deluxe.
That is a beauty.
Supreme.
I like that.
That's good quality wood right there. But so the original, get my stamps, and you're gonna see the original in the catalog. The original one, what's the price on that one? Oh, you got it up there. The canvas and the leather one are $95.95. What we've done with all of our pack mounts is we put them into a kit, so you can actually, and before it was just for the originals, but we have now made it so you can get the kits for the canvas and the leather as well. And it includes the head, the eyes, the ears, and the pack mount. And you basically save $16.
That's
It's a deal.
That's
a
a deal.
real good deal.
So you can get all those online. The original's in the catalog, the rest aren't. So you can just call and talk to the ladies on the phone or place your order online and see all that. So we do sell them, and we also made it so you guys can save. We also now have the extra rope that goes with it if you want to tie in and make sure that it
That's like
matches.
this, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So you'll find that online as well.
And that would be for like accessories and anything they want to
tying
add
the
to it.
pack and the
Sure.
hide to it.
Attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. You've had all kinds of new stuff come up lately.
We do.
We should print another catalog.
Oh my gosh, we got more stuff coming.
We do have more. This
I gotta-
is just in as well.
Put things down.
We have some fleshing. We've been doing fleshing in class last week, and so we started playing with some stuff. If the guys use it, we know our customers are going to use it as well. So what you have here, that is our fleshing mold with the base.
Look at you.
Pretty
And
fancy.
so we have it in two styles. The one with the base, they're both $25. You have the one with the base, and then the other one is kind of like a bread loaf.
A bread loaf, a dual-ended bread loaf.
Dual-ended. It has
It's
two
a
different
surfboard
sides.
for a gnome.
Surfboard.
Yeah.
But
I-
those are now available as well that you
I
can
think
find online.
that
We have
looks
had
like-
these in the shop, and we have used these for 40 years. At least 40 years.
I'm going to hang some number 8 treble hooks off of mine because I know what that looks like.
It does, doesn't it?
That is going to be a musky lure. But these fleshing beams, everyone has a little bit different style, a little bit different shape, and every animal's got just a little different contour. We've got them in all different configurations, and I'm kind of excited, fun to work on them when you have the right tools. Right tool for the right job, right? What else?
Well, we've been out of some stuff. Derma Grip is now in stock. Derma Grip Airliner Adhesive is also back in stock, and that is a pink color, and we also have two sizes now. They're kind of switching.
If you people have not used this stuff, you got to use it. This is our go-to ear liner material. The
It's kind of difficult to get. but
color
we got it.
is exceptional. The adhesion is great.
Yeah, it is. This looks like an IV bag.
Yeah, it does. So if you want to try it out, I don't recommend that. But if you want to try it out, we now have it in pints, so you don't have to get the full quart if you're just trying it. We have it in pints as well.
Is that the pint size?
That's a pint size.
And this would be the quart
This is a
size
good
then.
product. This is
good stuff, yeah.
we got
it's
it and it
thin.
sat. We had a sample and it sat here forever, and we got it out, and
You made me get it out.
you used it, and you didn't quit talking about it for days and
It
days.
worked good. It worked really good. And it's very thin. We've had a couple customers call us and say, oh my gosh, this is thin. It's not near as thick and goopy as some of your epoxies and other things that people have used, but it's got
Our
great
epoxies are
adhesion.
not thick and goopy.
What else have you got?
Color Fin, or Pan Pastels, we had a customer ask if we could get the Hansa Yellow. So we now have a new color, Hansa Yellow.
Who is Hansa?
I don't know.
Wasn't that Gretel's friend?
Oh yeah, the kid doing the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Hansa, Hansa.
Yeah.
Stay out of that oven. Get out of that oven.
What else do you have?
Triple Thick is back in stock. This we've had trouble getting, but it is back in stock, and we now are carrying the 8 ounce. I know some of you have mentioned online. So 8 ounces of Triple Thick, and that is $6.50.
For like the same price.
It's a great deal.
Twice the product.
Yeah.
I gotta say that, I don't know why, but people can't get anything.
I
And
know.
we can't get it from our people who can't get it from their people, and it's unbelievably frustrating. And our staff has done the most remarkable job of, sorry, we can't get this smaller container for twice the money, but we can get you this container for $2 less than what you're paying for the smaller container.
have
They've
been
been
out-
doing an exceptional job.
I've been out in the front room so many times today, and if they're not talking to a customer, they're talking to a vendor. They've been very, very busy out front, so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Big thank you to Sean Shaw. and
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
For lunch. So they had a seminar in Utah, and we sent them some mule deer to work on, and Brian Olson's mule deer ears.
And Brian Olson went out there and hosted, or
Yes.
Sean hosted it, and Brian taught it.
They
And
put him in the crate too?
it was, huh?
They put Brian in the crate too?
Yeah,
Same
we
with the
sent a
mannequins?
big old crate out.
But yes, that was an awesome treat. So
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you, thank you.
you.
That was not necessary whatsoever.
Yeah, but
Yes.
very, very nice.
And you're also getting some requests. They want to see turkey heads painted with pan pastels.
We can do that.
Yeah, that's gonna, we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Spring's coming up. It'd be a good time.
There's a couple that came. Could you please do a show about fish fin, duck head molding, and casting?
All of them.
Can't do that, then they start making their. Hello, when do you think you'll have the new angle bird flesher in stock? They are
China, motors are
trouble.
coming from China.
They're having trouble getting parts for that, so we will let you know. As
Joe's
soon
gonna
as
get
this
that
stuff
fixed.
Comes in, you guys, if you follow us on Facebook or social media, as soon as this stuff comes in, we're letting you know. The form rest that you just used, that yellow one, can you hold that up?
Mm-hmm.
That's been out of stock. We go through those. I can't tell you how many I pull a day. It's back in stock, so you'll see an ad for that, I'm sure, tomorrow. But that is back in stock. As soon as we get this stuff back, we're letting you guys know. So bear with us. I know the bird eyes are out right now. Our eyes were having trouble getting in, but as soon as
On the
we get
border,
them-
out of the country border, held up at customs.
Reflective
figure.
eyes, ABIs.
they're coming.
Crazy.
We'll
They're
keep you posted.
They're afraid there's explosives in those little ABIs, or they got a bust. Our reflective eyes, they're taking them all apart, find out what's in them. They think there's stuff in them.
Uranium eyes.
What makes them go like that? Crack them babies
So
open.
you guys continuing on next week?
Yes,
Well-
we're going to continue with this.
I think we opened a can of worms. So.
And our pack mounts are 15% off through tomorrow night. So take advantage of that sale. All of our canvas, leather, original, 15% off. You can get it with the kit and still get 15% off of all that, even though you're still saving $16 on top of it. So great deal. Make sure to take advantage of that.
And our giveaway's kind of special, isn't it?
Kate has a big smile. I think she wants to give it away.
I believe if you buy the pack mount, you'll get the change out head, eyes, and ears for free.
Ooh.
Winner.
To the winner.
To the winner.
Yes, to our Facebook Live winner.
Well, that's pretty exciting. So, if they order the pack mount of their choice, they get free.
That's a $48 value.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
All right, so the winner is, and this is for liking, sharing, and tagging our video. So make sure to share this video for your chance to win next week.
And Benny Kirk is our winner.
Benny?
Benny Kirk, yes, from
Congratulations.
sharing and liking last week's live video.
Wow.
So Benny picks out a pack mount,
Okay?
and he gets
So he buys a pack mount,
his whole head of his choice, not the antlers,
not the antlers.
head of his choice. He gets a nose. He gets ear line. Yep, nose.
It'll
Benny.
just sweeten the-
Benny, I just got you in on a free nose.
$16.
It provided we have one that fits that head, and ear liners and eyes.
That's a $55 value.
That's a deal.
That's a good deal.
That's a really good deal.
So-
That's
Should have
exciting.
liked and shared more, shouldn't I?
Share. And we'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and give us a call if you have any questions, 1-800-488-3256, or visit our website for all of these products that we talked about at www.matuskataxidermy.com.